Hi everyone, I am Joanne Lewis and I'm your host for this brand new program, In the Hot Seat. It's a program for the National Alliance as they are approaching the elections on September 26th, and we have some beautiful candidates and some great candidates, I should say, that we're going to be interviewing for this season, this election season. My first guest today is Mr. Cedric Peterson. Mr. Cedric Peterson is number 10 on the National Alliance slate. Hi, Cedric, how are you?
Hi, Joanne. Thanks a lot. I'm doing fantastic, and it's great to be here with you.
Okay, tell us, who is Cedric Peterson?
Cedric Peterson, son of the soil, born to Rachel Mary Therese Peterson Ref, Cedric James. My grandmother is Mary Robertine Peterson. My grandfather, who hails from the French side, is Mr. Popo Ref, that everyone knows popularly as he has deceased. But those are and of course, the nephew of the late and statesman Vance James Jr. Mm-hmm. So I come from a balance between North and South.
Okay.
And when you actually get a chance in life to reflect back and look at your heritage and your background, and you realize that you are a direct representative of this country, both North and South, you realize that you have something to be, that is very humbling and at the same time something to be proud about.
A true man of the soil.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Especially in the time period where things have been so controversial about who is a true St. Martiner and things of that sort. When you go through my lineage, I think I can hold on to that and say proudly, I represent my home well. So that's pretty much who I am. And over the past 40 plus years, I've grown to be a little bit more cultured between where I was educated and, of course, growing up here at home and having a nice balance between both.
Okay. Cedric, we know you to run in the last elections in 20. That was the first time you
2014, right.
in the elections, right?
That's correct.
How was that experience for you?
Eye-opening. It was a tremendous experience. 153 people on my first attempt at running for office gave me a clear indicator that we are looking at you, and we think that you will be the representative that we would like to have in Parliament. So when you're hit with that number on election night,
right,
and then you wake up to the fact of what a people within a country are saying to you since you're running for office, that's the reason why I'm back again in 2016.
Okay, you're back in 2016. Mm-hmm. What would you want to accomplish if you are elected into Parliament?
Telecommunications is my background. I graduated from the college New England Institute of Technology in Rhode Island. There I studied audio video production, telecommunications, internet, high-speed connectivity, and its cost is one of the key things that I've championed back in 2014, and it caught traction with a lot of the constituents that I was able to reach out to. And when I realized that that is exactly where our generation that is currently back on the island is heading, they're really in need of the connectivity, but the cost is really exorbitant at this particular point in comparison to internet service providers that are just north of the border. So the opportunity now is to be able to sit down with the telecom companies and say, listen, how do we expand our services, better our services, and then bring down the cost so that our children aren't left behind? And that's the key thing. Because the dialogue, for example, in this past year has been about bringing your own device, BYOD. There was a telecommunications conference that was held here on the island, very large, up at Milton Peters College. I had the privilege to be able to moderate a specific workshop at that specific conference. And it dealt with the topic of bring your own device, pros and cons. What does it mean? Well, one of the key things that we need to establish is St. Martin is a country that has at its disposal fiber optic technology. Mm-hmm. Just by this placement, we have a great opportunity to do some amazing things when it comes to technology. Now we have to start making this a reality within the classrooms.
Yes.
We have to take our elementary school children and let them see the possibilities at their level. We have to let our secondary school children be able to have the opportunity to be able to grow at their level introduce new technologies? What new service? What new application? Right now you have a smartphone, and that Play Store from Google is very limited once you're here in St. Martin. It is a responsibility of the legislators and government to be able to explore those possibilities, services that will be more efficient to, or offer our people the ability to be more efficient in their operations. We have traffic congestion, one of our major issues, right?
Yes.
Do you have to travel from Cold Bay to Phillipsburg with fiber optic technology? The answer to that question, in my professional opinion, is no. With fiber optic technology at affordable rates, you, Joanne, Miss Lewis, you can actually be able to communicate with a colleague or client via Skype in real time and be able to have a conversation, work off of your desktop, share and exchange ideas, and never have to come into Phillipsburg and deal with traffic congestion or that popular thing that our people are known for, being late. So how would our technology help us to be better, strengthen us? We might even just deal with that one problem of being on time. We'll be ahead of anything if we actually used it properly and again made it affordable for our people.
How do you intend to get to Parliament? What are your strategies of making that step to Parliament?
Communication is key. Social media, but while we have that in advancement of technology, we still have a large grassroots movement in St. Martin, and they follow us as the National Alliance. So we got to get out there and touch hands. We got to get out there and knock on doors. We have to be in people's homes and actually have the conversations that matter. Not to push not only your manifesto, but to actually listen. Listen to what the constituent is telling you that is needed. This is what's troubling us. These are the major concerns. And then we have to take our ability to legislate and realize, let's get back to the books. Are the laws supporting this thinking process? If it is, then we need to start applying them. Or do we have a law that is hindering progress and it needs to be discussed, debated? This is where we need to be because the law currently in the books is antiquated. It has to be renewed to reflect the changing time.
Do you think something is hindering that?
I think the time period since we've taken the responsibility of country,
Yes.
one of the key things that we have to deal with was the laws that were automatically transferred over to St. Martin. Parliament did a pretty decent job in trying to actually, discuss some of them. Is there room for opportunity and, of course, to do better? Of course. The opportunity there is to get back to, well, what are those laws that we have inherited? Do they suit our economy? And we have to engage the populace in this conversation. You see, if we're going to have a conversation with the people of St. Martin with such high technical discussions,
Yes.
we have to have a keen understanding of what it is that we're reading. A technical background like myself,
So
studying the
you
sciences.
need to probably hit the communities
That's
and
correct.
have town hall
There
meetings
you
and
go.
stuff.
You take these concepts and you bring it to the people. You break it down. I made mention in an interview earlier this morning that I had on radio where I mentioned the National Development Plan. The National Development Plan is one that I've seen through government as a civil servant be given to Prime Minister after Prime Minister for review. I actually got an insight into a little bit of the work. It's very, very complex within its own right, like any project that government comes up with. The idea is to simplify it. How do you take that technical language and break it down to what we know in advertising to be the minimum time needed to reach the attention of any person that's on the move in St. Martin? 30 seconds.
Wow.
So I look at technical people with such big ideas and I go, a national development plan is definitely the way to go. But how do we break it down so that people can consume it? And that's where the town hall meetings, like you mentioned, comes in. We visit people and we take it to them in what do you call bite size?
Because they need to understand.
Correct. And if you are able to bring it to them piece by piece, then we can start making the necessary movements. Make it available once the plan is completed and signed off on and it's gone through its vetting process. I think that's where the last step is. But there's some very, very intelligent people that have been putting in a lot of hours, Joanne, concerning this specific plan. And we want to see this thing come to fruition. We want to see this thing reach the grassroots level and it resonate deeply.
How long do you think that's going to take?
Well, to tell you the truth, I would really like to see it happen, within a standard 5-year plan.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Just to start off within, in its, if I have to use a term from the technical people, its beta process. Maybe perhaps we can use a 5-year period to run through the beta aspect. And then by the next 5 years, heading into the 10th year, we start stepping up into what would be the alpha version of the program, the finalized version of it. But again, keeping it in chunk sizes so that people can actually absorb it, understand it,
yes.
and actually take ownership of it. That's key.
That's important.
Take ownership. And that's one of the key things that we want the citizens of St. Martin to embrace, is take ownership of what's happening within the country as we grow.
Be part of it also.
That's correct.
That's part of it. We know technology is the key
Yes.
to everything and
Right.
anything. But besides technology, what are some of your burning issues? As I have to call you a politician. I know some people, like, the newer candidates like yourself, you wouldn't want to be called a politician because politician somehow has some kind of negative tone to it,
Right. And the thing is that, and I'd like to answer, speak to that directly concerning the issue of what one feels when they're called a politician. We have a responsibility, I think, especially as a new generation of leadership, I always say, to be able to change the ideology and the thinking of what politics is all about. Stop being divisive with it. It shouldn't be our politics in a 16 square mile space should never be dividing.
Never.
It should be unifying because the place is too small.
Too small for it.
It is great to have different ideas and thinking. That's what we need in order to embrace what's going to be taking place, the changes that are going to be coming up in 2020. This new decade that's ahead of us, it's going to bring some very, very anxious times. We have to be prepared. So what we have to do is be able to sit down with people and say, listen, these are the things that we think are important, but we need to listen to you.
Yeah.
There are the issues that I have when it comes to advancing technology, transportation. This is one key area that I've also talked about in 2014 that I'd like to hit again. And it's not pie in the sky. It is something to attain. We're not reinventing the wheel on this earth. We have ideas and concepts from other countries that are placed in the top 10 of anything whenever you Google.
Right.
So what is the number one country in the world doing? And how are they getting it done?
So you need to tap into
that thinking process.
Yeah.
And then what you then do is then take those concepts and try to work those concepts down to 15, 16 square miles and get that idea to work within that realm. If we're not going to expand 2 lanes and get to 3 or 4, then the idea then is to elevate. Our terrain is really, really low, so we would have to elevate and perhaps look at one of my goals and my visions that I had for 2014, and I would still stress on it now, is railway. How would that work for us? But not the old school, but what is called maglev trains, the one that uses magnetic levitation. One that you're familiar with as soon as you get off a plane in Hong Kong, and that shuttle takes you from your current station to wherever you have to go next. That's maglev technology. And if it's being designed at the airport level, and I'm thinking, well, the airport is a very limited amount of space, just like St. Martin. How can that work here and allow us to have an advanced level of transportation? Now, the person might think that's a little bit too advanced for St. Martin, but we have to start somewhere.
I know we should be wrapping up now, but just before we wrap up, I just want to know, when you go to campaign, what are some of the things the people are telling you? What are some of the problems they are being faced with?
Most common one given, work, opportunities for jobs.
Yeah.
With one of the topics that the National Alliance faced dead on, short-term contract being the detriment.
That's to the top of the list.
That's the top of the list. If we're about giving and providing jobs, first we have to encourage people to show up to the opportunities that exist. We are letting you know through government, currently as a civil servant, I must speak from that vantage point as well. Government is letting people know where the opportunities are. We just have to start connecting our people to these opportunities and letting them know, here it is. Now, what will you do with it?
Get involved.
Get involved. So if you don't have the skill sets, then we know that the Ministry of Education, Labor, needs to combine in a campaign to let you know where the education process, the education opportunities are, connect the persons there. Once we've connected them there, the next step is to then push them into those job fields. Now, it is currently on the move. As we are seeing as a party now, the train is starting up, and we need people to jump on board. So training processes in the areas of marine technology, kids that are being exposed to the marine life and marine biology, which I have an 18-year-old who loves this field of work, and she's now transitioning into college and has the opportunity now to explore at a higher level marine biology. I would like to see her come back and be able to be a part of helping us to protect our marine and bio life. So these are opportunities that we have to connect our kids to. The ministry, being led now by the Honorable Sylveria Jacobs, these things are all a part of her responsibility, and in Parliament, I can help support her in doing that, making her realize these are the areas of importance that we need to focus on as we transition into the year 2020 and beyond.
Cedric, you have 10 seconds to give your closing comments.
Ms. Lewis, the people of St. Martin require an opportunity to grow, and they need to connect, like I said, to all the opportunities that are coming as our country continues to grow. We are still very young in this process, and the time is no other than now to be a part of this process. So we're inviting people to be a part of the National Alliance movement, be a part of our slogan, which is, I think, resonates across the board with everyone. Accomplish. Be a part of something special and accomplish something big in your life. Pie in the sky ideas are needed. And the reason why, it gives you something to reach and aspire to. So our kids need this. Generations that are still with us, the grassroots, they need to be reinforced and strengthened so that they can have the type of life that they deserve to have because they've worked so hard to achieve that. And let us take St. Martin to the next level as we embrace the next decade in front of us. So I invite everyone to, of course, vote National Alliance, vote Cedric Peterson, number 10. And let's go for those 10 seats that give us that clear mandate to be able to govern and take this country forward.
It was nice having this chit chat with you, and I hope that the viewers out there would be able to connect with what you were saying and be able to support you come September 26th in the upcoming elections.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
I wish you all the best, Cedric.
Thank you very much.
This is The Hot Seat, and I am Joanne Lewis.